I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, October the 21st, brought to you in part by Norbrook. Norbrook's generic products are equal to name brands in active ingredient, strength, dosage, and method of administration. Not a fly-by-night by any means. Norbrook was founded more than 50 years ago and is one of the largest vet pharmaceutical companies in the world. For more information, visit norbrook.com. They all bring the same, and I've noticed that increasingly as we've seen your feed costs get higher, and now that we've seen a lot more calves on the market than we do yearlings, it really doesn't matter what cattle weigh, they all bring about the same. And so if you took some steer calves or yearlings, steers, any kind of feeder steers into the auction, they could weigh anywhere from 400 to 800 pounds or maybe a little more and bring 160, and that would be a kind of a logical price for them to bring. And it's just because it's costing more to get those cattle to a heavier weight. So we got high feed costs. Our grains are going to remain strong probably well into next year, and we're seeing that on the board as well. And the main reason for that is your fertilizer costs as we go into this coming year's planting season. Some of these people are paying 2 to 4 times what they normally pay for fertilizer. And it's going to cost more to fertilize pastures too. It's not just on your crops, but it's going to be pretty expensive to get these cattle to the weights that we want to take them to, even just backgrounding them, let alone feeding the cattle. But you know, no more are we going to see 40, 50 cent, 60 cent gains. It's going to be $1 something, no matter what weight, and even on your green yearlings that have a lot of compensatory gain, still going to cost something to put those pounds on them. But you look down the line on your grains, your corn is staying up there quite a bit. It's not sinking back to what we've been paying for the last several years until we got to this season. But look out to next new crop. December corn is sitting under $5, $4.95. That looks like a buy, guys. If you look at all the input costs, the inflation, the fuel, the freight, the fertilizer, everything, and I know not just because it costs more to grow it are you going to get a higher price, but it has a way of working itself out, as some people just may not be able to afford to get their cropland ready for another crop. And beans that cost more to fertilize, they're staying about 12.5 bucks a bushel for the extent of their trading months on the Chicago Board of Trade Futures. So God wants to look at that, but it's just kind of interesting. I got this card from John Cooper there at an auctioneer at OKC West, a Reno livestock market, and they always make these cards up that have your bunches of cattle on there. And if you look at these steers, and it runs the whole gamut of weight ranges on there, basically all bringing about the same price. And that just backs up, and that's the first thing I noticed when he sent me that on Wednesday, is how pretty much all the cattle are bringing the same price. And like I said, I've been noticing that as we went forward. Look at some other things that are out, and I hate to be doom and gloom all the time, but gosh, it just seems like they're coming after the cattle people on every angle, whether it's killing the ozone or greenhouse effect and global warming and all this kind of thing. But the USDA has given their first big bonus to fake meats. USDA has awarded Tufts University, which is out of Massachusetts, a liberal arts school out of Massachusetts that's gone into research in the last 30, 40 years big time, but a liberal arts school getting a $10 million gift from the Department of Agriculture seems a little suspect there. But they've awarded them $10 million to create a National Institute for Cellular Ag. Now, cellular ag in this instance does not mean talking on your cell phone while you're in the tractor. It's basically to set up fake proteins. And if these grains keep getting higher, especially your lentils and things like that, your peas, they may be having to pay higher prices to make that nasty mash that they load full of sodium and try to stamp it out and put artificial colorings and flavorings in it, trying to make it seem like something like meat. But you can't fool people, and I just don't see how people are going to embrace this, but they're going to have it crammed down their throat. You can bet for that. And like they've said in several publications here over the last several months, they're looking at down the road that steak is going to be a luxury item like champagne that you can only afford to eat on a special occasion. But they still can't quite get the texture down of a steak. Most all of your fake proteins are some kind of a ground product or meant to try to replicate some type of a ground product, and it's a little scary out there, guys, and you need to educate people. These products are not healthier. In fact, they are not nearly as healthy as beef, which is a whole food, because that is the only ingredient in beef is beef. You look at the laundry list of ingredients that's in these fake meat products, and it's exactly off the tag from your dog food. Let's talk about your board on Wednesday. October live cattle futures up 95 cents after kind of up and down days here the last couple, and down big on your feeder cattle here is kind of early in the week. We saw some up markets again, and like I said, your cattle markets are benefiting from all the inflation because everything is higher. But October live cattle futures up 95 cents at 125.95. December up a half a dollar at 130.52. You go on your back months, they were all up 60 cents to up 95. Feeder cattle were up too. October feeder cattle contracts up 82 cents at 155.92. November up a half a dollar at 159.35, and your back months of feeder cattle up 95 cents to up $1.32. Fat cattle trade, we saw a little bit more trade, and the market is kind of established now, although we haven't seen the bulk of the trade yet, and we may not see a bigger movement like we've seen the last 2 or 3 weeks. But getting through the mid part of the week and still haven't seen a whole lot of trade, expecting some significant trade on Thursday because these packers are needing cattle. They haven't bought a lot for the near-term future over the last several weeks, so they're pretty close to the knife. They need to come in there and buy some cattle, and our supplies of market-ready cattle are dwindling, as has been well advertised as we go through this fourth quarter. But Iowa on Wednesday sold 8,600 head negotiated cash, 123 to 127. We haven't seen that 127 for quite a while here, but practical top would be 125, and 125 was the main price in Iowa on a live basis. Dress sales 196. We've been seeing your alternating between your dress price gaining a little bit of ground and your live price gaining a little ground. And this week is the live price turned to gain a little ground, and we are gaining, and it's still kind of within the price range like we've seen the last several weeks, but we haven't seen 127 for quite a while. And now that we broke that, then now we can trade within that range. But Nebraska 7,300 head, 124 to 126 and a half, but a lot of 125 there also, and dress sales from 195 to most all 196. Southern Plains, Kansas, they're trading steady, where the Northern Plains is a tick higher. And we've already seen our premium go back to normal. I say normal, back to what's more typical for what we see with, especially when they're looking for top quality and high grading product on a quality grade, as your Northern Plains has gone back to a premium over the Southern Plains, with Kansas selling 7,400 head negotiated cash on Wednesday, all at 124. So we're not seeing any higher prices on a cash basis in the Southern Plains. Texas, about 6,900 head confirmed on a negotiated basis on Wednesday, 123 to almost all 124. Box beef cutout values, they've kind of found a bottom, and we feel like that we've seen the losses pretty much over, as they're kind of jostling around some point of steady right now. But choice cutouts on Wednesday afternoon were down 85 cents at 280.03, but selects up 127 at 262.80. You look at your slaughter, and it's running at a normal clip or pretty close to what the comparisons are. 362,000 through Wednesday. That's 1,000 more than last week at the same time, and 1,000 more than the same week a year ago. But to talk about what else is going on, I've got speaking engagements scheduled over the next week in Missouri. And if you guys are kind of in the eastern portion, especially the southeastern portion of Missouri, going to be in Potosi, Missouri today or tonight on Thursday the 21st. And got a scheduled speaking engagement in Pacific, Missouri, which is just a little ways south of St. Louis there, on Tuesday the 26th of next week. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Wednesday, sitting at 155.79, gaining ground again, up 59 cents, and just about par with what our spot October feeder cattle are trading, right in there, real tight. So we've likely seen those meet, so now they'll probably trend together more often, although we know that cash can't jostle back and forth nearly as fast as what your futures are. But look at some of your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 6,500 head with the yearlings, including the calves that they sold on Tuesday, but not a lot of those. But we continue to see our big high volume sales that usually have all the big receipts not selling as many as our smaller hometown sale barns where the calves are moving, like in the northern plains right now. But OKC West had a hell of a good sale on Wednesday on feeder cattle, selling $3 to $5 higher on feeders. Calves were steady in a light test this week. Look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central with DV Auction for El Reno, and look at your best tested weights on Wednesday. And like I said, not any of the calves involved because this was just for Wednesday's sale, but 1,217 head of the 7-weight steers. Some of them would be short yearlings, some of them would be bigger feeder calves that kind of had a yearling look to them, and some true yearlings there. But average 757 at 156.64. 564 head of the 8-weight steers in El Reno averaged 833 with a weighted average price of 155.46. How about some other sales around the circuit? Winter Livestock, Dodge City, Kansas. They had 3,000 head on offer. Market was more sharply higher there compared to last week, $5 to $8 higher there. And you look at the stick-out deal there out of Dodge City, and very impressive. Must have had a lot of condition on these yearlings. 63 head, 831-pound yearling feeder steers at $166.85. That's a big-time price. Up in the northern plains, where I've been telling you, this is their week to have their biggest runs of calves up in the northern plains, and especially out there in western South Dakota where they had the big snows last week. They weren't able to have the runs that they normally have last week, so they're having to play catch up this week and adding extra sales. And and those extra sales are mostly not covered by federal state market news because the reporter that's supposed to be there has to go to his regular sale for that day, and so that information is just not collected. It's not going into the index or anywhere else. It is collected through your real-time index and Cattle Market Central here with DV Auction, because we don't have to send a reporter there to get that information. But at Faith, South Dakota, they had 8,000 head on Monday, and then added another sale on Wednesday with 3,100 head. So they're trying to play catch up a little bit. St. Ange, South Dakota, my buddy Justin Tupper there, and I talked to him about this earlier in the week. They had about 2,500 there last week on Friday after the big snows, and it's muddy. It's a mess out there. They've been needing the moisture all summer long and all fall, and finally got it right during whenever they're needing to move all the calves. But 2,500 on Friday. They added the sale on Wednesday, caught up a little bit more at 1,500. This Friday they'll have 10,000 head of calves, St. Ange, South Dakota, St. Ange Livestock, and then on Saturday likely have 3,000 cows, and most of them way ups there. But I tell you what, the cow market is gaining good. This grinding product is getting higher. We've got good demand for cows, and cows are selling awfully well despite the heavy supplies that are moving, especially out of the northern plains there. But look at some other quotes around the circuit. Bloomfield Livestock Market in Bloomfield, Iowa, the Schooley family right there. Look at these 4 loads of 8 to 850 pound feeder steers that sold there at Bloomfield, Iowa. Sold from 162 to 165.85. Those were impressive quotes. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday, and your Zach Chan top quote for the day, comes from another new sale that we have never talked about before, but I've been getting some information about this sale. Osborne Livestock Producers in Osborne, Kansas. It used to be just a regular sale barn. Was purchased by the local producers around there, now kind of a cooperative type barn, which those work well. Osborne Producers sold 63 head, 807 pound feeder steers at 170 and a quarter. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.